Hey everybody, this is Mike for Terrible Infant, and I'm doing something a little bit new today. I am solo, as you can see, upstairs in my bedroom, sweating my ass off. It's like 9 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's about 147 degrees Celsius in here. I am drenched. My shirt is drenched. My shorts are drenched. Everything's drenched. But I figured, you know what? I'm going to put on my fancy attire, have a seat, and talk about Extraction. So, Extraction is a 2020 film starring Chris Hemsworth and a lot of actors whose names I couldn't even imagine pronouncing, so I'm not even going to try. I don't want to butcher them. As you can see, David Harbour is in this film, but it's more of an extended cameo. So this film is basically a throwback to 80s action films. It's got a high body count. It's got one guy basically taking on the world. Um, it's kind of, the plot is really basic and simple. There's not a whole lot of subplots or romantic subplots or twists and turns or anything like that. It's kind of a straightforward action movie, in the vein of, like, old school Arnold Schwarzenegger films like Commando, or Steven Seagal films, Jean-Claude Van Damme films, like Chuck Norris films like Invasion USA, where it's basically one guy taking on insurmountable odds and just whooping ass and going ham and coming out on top. So Chris Hemsworth plays, like an ex-military guy who we learn a little bit about in the backstory, that he had some tragedy befall him, and now he's kind of like this carefree guy who doesn't really care about life too much, and he's living off in Australia in the outback, doing his own thing. Meanwhile, the bulk of the story takes place on the border of India and Bangladesh, and it features basically two drug dealers, who kind of have a rivalry going on between them. One of them is in prison, and his son is kidnapped by the other drug dealer in Bangladesh. And so the drug dealer who's in prison tasks his number two guy to go and get his son back. He basically threatens the guy's family and says, if you don't do it, even though I'm behind bars, I can still get at your family. So the drug dealer's number two, a character named Saju, knows that all the accounts are frozen. He can't pay a ransom to get this kid back. So he hires this group who basically do this sort of thing where they go in, extract somebody, get paid, and hand them over. All in and I don't want to spoil too much of it, but basically it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. He can't pay him, so he double crosses him. He wants them to do the hard work, get the son out, and then he can take the son and go from there. And obviously things don't go as planned, and we have the bulk of the movie where basically Chris Hemsworth character Tyler Rake, right here, is basically stuck with this kid, and as we learn more and more, we see them kind of form a bond. And he's basically he's stuck in Bangladesh with this drug dealer who controls basically everything. He has like a colonel on his team and everything. He's basically got the whole city locked down, and it's all about them trying to get out and just murdering people and going ham and just shooting people. It's got a bit of a John Wick style in that when he takes people down, there's a lot of quick executions, a lot of quick gunshots to the head, that sort of thing. It's got a little like Commando and old school 80s action films where it's basically one guy just beating up everybody, and even though he's getting hurt and getting stabbed and getting cut and falling, like, hours later, he's just fine again. He basically can't be stopped. And so that's the kind of film this is, and that's the people who will like this film are those who do like those old school action films. Like I mentioned, there's not a whole lot of subplots or twists or turns or even plot. I mean, the plot is super simple. Drug dealer's kid gets kidnapped. They hire this guy to go in and get him out, and that's the plot. And if that's if you're watching a film because you want to see interesting subplots and twists and turns and all this other stuff, this probably isn't for you. But if you're just wanting to, turn your brain off for a few hours on a Friday night with some popcorn, with a beer, with some friends, and you just want to be entertained, this is a perfect film for that kind of thing. It's very entertaining. It's very fun. It's a quick 2-hour film. I would recommend it for the people who like that kind of stuff. If you don't, this film isn't for you. There's a lot of complaints about them using a sort of a very yellow filter for the scenes in Bangladesh to make it look like they're kind of, I don't know, it's hot or whatever. It didn't bother me that much. I noticed it at first, but then as the film goes on, you kind of get used to it and it doesn't really matter. It's fine. If that's something that's going to turn you off from a film, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's not for you. It's a minor detail to me. What really stands out are the fights and the action scenes. Here, this is a really good fight between Saju and Tyler Rake, the two main characters, basically, other than the kid. And they do a lot of cool night fights here, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty quick. The director is Sam Hargrave, and he's actually a stunt guy. He did stunts on Avengers and some Captain Marvel, and sorry, not Captain Marvel, Captain America. And so he worked with the Russo brothers, and one of the Russo brothers actually wrote the script for this, and I'm sure that's how the tie-in happened. And he directed this film, and it's actually, I do find stunt choreographers and those people actually a really good lead into being a director. You know, maybe not as natural as, say, like a writer or a director of photography or cinematographer, but if you think about it, if you're directing stunt performers on set, you're kind of already directing actors, and you're kind of doing directing on a smaller scale where you're just directing fight scenes and action scenes and that sort of stuff. So it actually relates really well. Me and Will, who contributes to this channel a lot, we actually watch a lot of Jesse V. Johnson's films, and like Debt Collector, Savage Dog, Avengements, and things like that. And he's sort of the same way, where he did a lot of stunts and fight choreography, and then he transitioned to being a director. It's actually a really good pipeline. It shows because the action scenes are pretty cool, pretty fun. There's a long 15-minute single shot. I say single shot because it's obviously not a single shot in here, but it's pretty cool. I didn't love it as much as I know a lot of people did, because there were times with that single shot where you're following these really minor characters and you're thinking, why am I staying with them? And the answer is because the actors need a chance to get into whatever position they need to. And for me, it was like, you don't really need to have a single take or single shot for this. You know, if it was all a fight, I get it, but there were times where they were moving around in hallways and doing this sort of thing, and we kind of followed the camera to different people, but I don't know if it really added that much. So, but it's still cool to see, think about how they did it and all that kind of stuff. It's worth seeing for that. So to conclude, because I've rambled long enough and I'm sweating like a pig, man. Good sort of Friday night, have some fun kind of movie, turn off your brain, be entertained, be enjoyed. It's pretty violent. There's a lot of, it's not gratuitous in the sense like you see all these like decapitations and mutilations and gore and stuff, but there is a lot of blood and a lot of people getting shot and a lot of gunshots and a lot of, punches and things like that. And there's some dark scenes involving the drug dealer and this like group of kids who kind of are criminals. So there are some darker scenes like that, but overall, it's a standard like action kind of violence. So if you're not easily offended by that kind of stuff, you won't be offended by this. I will definitely say check it out. If I was rating it, on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd give it like a 3.5, which is pretty solid for a straight up action film. Basically anything over a 3 I'd recommend watch and make up your own mind, because who am I to tell you what's good? I can just tell you that I liked it, and I can say if you like the kind of films that I do, like 80s action films, you'll probably like it. But, if you have Netflix already, you don't have to pay for it. You can just watch it. It's definitely worth that. So this has been Mike for Terrible Infant. I'm going to be doing a lot more reviews and a lot more stuff. I'm also going to be launching a show, because on this channel, we mainly focus on films, on Hong Kong cinema, and on vinyl, but we haven't really tapped into the TV side of things. And that's where I really love, the TV side of things. I went to school for it. I watch a ton of TV shows. I love TV shows probably more than movies, because I really like staying with characters and seeing what unfolds week to week. And the long storylines, I really like that. So I'm going to be doing a bunch of TV stuff. I'm going to, tell you my favorite TV shows ranked for every letter of the alphabet. I'm going to do different lists. I'm going to talk about different series. I'm going to review some of the shows I just finished watching. It's going to be a good time, so definitely stay tuned for that, because it's going to be cool. And if you like this and want to support us, please subscribe on our Patreon. It's going to be down below. You can also visit our Instagrams, our 80s Nerdgasm Instagram, Vinyl Appreciation Society, Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society, Sticky Floors. We run all of those. We're big fans of cinema and media and TV and music and all that kind of stuff. And, we would really appreciate your patronage and your support. So, yeah. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time.